Hi, it's Steve with Coin Stuff I Like, and this time I'm bringing you a video of a little bit of dabbling that I did outside of my wheelhouse, and it's because of both history as well as coin art, and those are two pretty good reasons for collecting, as far as I'm concerned. So I want to share that with you. And this video is going to cover the artwork of Benedetto Pistrucci and also some of the historic queens of England. But let's start with Benedetto Pistrucci. So, Benedetto Pistrucci was born in Rome in 1783 and died in Great Britain in 1855. And he was a pretty brilliant artist and was brought over to by the Royal Mint to do some of the designs, particularly George III, which he started doing in 1817. But he didn't know how to do the engraving work for the dies, where you engrave things directly to the dies. And but he learned because he's a little disappointed in how his artwork was translated for the George III pieces. So he learned how to do the engraving, and so the reverse of the George III pieces has his brilliant artwork of St. George slaying the dragon, which you see here in this image. This is a sort of is an iconic piece of coin art in my mind, and has appeared on several subsequent issues uh, through the years. Um, there is a link here. I'm going to put this link in the description, which describes a little bit more of Pistrucci's history with the Royal Mint and his background, and it's worth a read. I'll put this link in the description of this video. So, some of our coins are going to be centered around this particular design, but they also will be centered around the great English queens. And it started, my little dive down this little rabbit hole started with this piece, which I got from Nevada Liquidators in Gardnerville, here in Nevada. And because this one has that Pistrucci design on the reverse. But then I saw this one at Nevada Liquidators as well, and I says, okay, well that's Queen Elizabeth the First. I'm going to get that one, and then I says, okay, let's tie this all together, and I'll get this one from 2013, which also has a Pistrucci reverse. So, can you see what I'm doing here? I'm sort of tying things together. So let's get into it and go into some of the individual examples. So the first one is this Elizabeth the First coin. This is my holding. There's a little scratch here, but you can see dated 1567. So this is a silver sixpence from 1567. It weighs about, well, I weighed it out on my scale. It weighs closer to 4 grams, but it's listed as 3 grams, about 25 millimeter diameter. You can see that it's irregular. This is a stamped. This is a hammered coin. So instead of a press, they use a hammer into a planchet, basically. It's 0.925 silver, and if you look at the edge, it's Latin to me. but I got it translated in the obverse is Elizabeth by grace of God. Of course, there's some abbreviations in here. Elizabeth uh, uh, by the grace of God here. Um, and then on oh, I'm sorry, I didn't finish it. Elizabeth by the grace of God, Queen of England, France, and Ireland. Of course, there's some abbreviations. And on the reverse, the Latin says, I have made God my helper. Um, the convention at that time is as opposed to current U.S. convention where the date is on the obverse, the date was on the reverse here with the shield and the Latin, and then the image of Queen Elizabeth the First here on the obverse. Now that we've got pretty good lettering, pretty good shield, etc. date, but the obverse is a little bit worn in this case. So I pulled up an image. This one comes from Numista. There's the link. I'm also going to put that in description of this video. And there's a little bit better image. This is a 1566. And actually, I like the lettering on mine a little bit better than this one, but the image you can see, it has the ear on this particular version and the flower and the image of Queen Elizabeth the First. So a pretty nice piece to have in this small little collection. And this is as far as a rabbit hole I'll go down. The next piece is the one that sort of got me into the queens, the three queens, is this one with Victoria. It's an 1890 Great Britain one crown piece. It is it's 28.28 grams, 38.61 diameter, and 0.925 silver. It's a metallic orientation for this quote unquote coin. So it's metallic orientation. It's described as the second portrait of Victoria. The mintage for this particular year was close to 1 million of these one crown pieces in 1890. The obverse, the Latin says, Victoria by grace of God, Queen of the Britons, defender of the faith. And the reverse is Pistrucci's St. George slaying the dragon. Now this one's slightly modified from the original. This is Pistrucci's original design. And you can see that St. George is holding a sword and not the staff or spear, broken spear here killing the dragon. So it's modified, but it's still basically from the original Pistrucci design. That was a nice piece, and I says I'm going to tie this together and get the third great English queen, Queen Elizabeth II. This is a 2013 5-pound piece. It weighs 28.8 grams, 38.61 millimeters diameters, is 0.925 silver. This is also metallic orientation. Only 7,460 of these were minted. And the obverse says Elizabeth II, by grace of God, Queen, defender of the faith. And then again, Pistrucci's reverse. Again, slightly modified. It has that sword instead of the spear or staff. So, but still, a nice piece. It ties Pistrucci in. It ties into the three queens, and so I like that combination. That's about as deep as I'm going to go. But really, the thing I said that the Victoria piece started. Really, the thing that started was the Dan Carr piece. Dan Carr and Moonlight Mint made a Knights of the Coin table, which is a club um, medal back in 2018. And this one was overstruck on a Great Britain 1965 Churchill crown. It's copper nickel, 39 millimeter dies, and it's also metallic orientation. Only 110 of these were minted. Now, I got one of these, and I had it in my collection. That's what attracted me to that Victoria piece. And then once I went down that rabbit hole, I had to get the Elizabeth I, Elizabeth II, particularly the Elizabeth II with the Pistrucci reverse. So this one here is made in 2018, and the the obverse, the Pistrucci imagery here that Dan Carr did, he replicated closer to the original. So, oh, by the way, this one is in an NX MS69 holder. But it is closer to the original artwork because of the staff. So very close to the original artwork. Instead of the sword, it has the staff or broken spear, which is what Pistrucci originally designed. The reverse has the shield of that particular club, Knights of the Coin table across the top, and then Latin on the bottom, which translates to, "In the salvation of the soldier, we believe in the soldier." So again, here's a comparison of the original to Dan Carr's artwork, and he was pretty faithful to the original artwork of Pistrucci. So that I had that one long before I had any of the Queen pieces, but when I had that, I saw that Victoria piece, and that sent me down that little rabbit hole. I also got this one, which is also a Dan Carr Moonlight Mint piece. This one, in Knights of the Coin table, also from 2018, but this one he did in a cob style, which is sort of a hammered type of style. So you can see the irregular edges to it, and an antique finish, which I really like. This one was made on a 1 ounce 999 silver planchet, 39 millimeter dies, but in the cob style of hammering the coin. I say style because he probably uses press, but it mimicked this style. It's a metallic orientation. Only 100 were minted of this particular, and once again, the Pistrucci King George slaying the dragon with a pretty close, faithful reproduction of the original design. This one is in an AU50 holder from Annex. So again, it's tying together a bunch of pieces that have that Pistrucci imagery, with the exception of this Elizabeth I piece, because Pistrucci wasn't born when this coin was made. So, but I got the three queens, two of them with the Pistrucci imagery reverse, which is art that I really like, coin art that I really like. So, I hope you enjoyed this little shared minor dive down a rabbit hole, and enjoyed the history as well as the coin art. So thank you for watching. Remember, buy stuff you like, but be smart about what you buy. We'll see you next time.